What's up, gamers? Enforcer 5150 here, and we are back to talk about Death Stranding. So my first 10 hours of Death Stranding is, well, you know what? Death Stranding is about... Let's go ahead and talk about the game. So as I said, we played about 10 hours of Death Stranding, and I still don't know exactly what's going on. I find out a few things that it's between two different worlds. I'm going to try to not give too many spoilers because that's one of the things, we don't want. The game is, based on more of a story mode. You're going to be more invested in the story than the game itself, the gameplay itself in a lot of areas. Though there's not a lot of bad parts where you're not going to enjoy the gameplay. If you don't have a lot of time on your hands, this game is definitely not going to be for you because there is a lot of time that you need in here.
So how about it? Aren't you getting tired of the grind?
Within the first, I'd say 2 to 3 hours, it was mostly just cinematics. It's building up the game of what you're actually doing in this world, what the world is about, and they don't do too good of a job of telling you what it is because a lot of it's still kind of a mystery even to the characters in the world. That doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad story or anything. It's actually a very in-depth and very interesting story that you're going through. Your character has, how do I do this without any spoilers? Basically, your character is there to more or less save the world.
Talk about above and beyond. Thanks. They weren't joking when they said you were a legend.
Now, what makes things kind of interesting or different from any other game out there is that you're basically a transporter or a courier that is, that takes, goods from one place to another and travels it through everything else because there's no, UPS mail or anything. So everything goes through these porters. Well, let's talk about the gameplay a little bit. You're going to be, transporting different materials and, packages for all these other people, but you also need to carry your own stuff that you may need for the trip ahead. There's always going to be little dangers and stuff like that throughout the way, and you need to have, the things to be able to defend yourself or get through the next area. You're able to put down signs for other people that play the game, so everything is connected that way. Even though it's not really a multiplayer game, you're still able to connect with other players that are playing the game as well. You can use things like use other players' pass. They can use your pass. You can use ladders and different grappling hooks and stuff like that, which you're able to give a like to somebody placing a ladder somewhere, or if they have used your path, they'll be able to like your path. You can give them directions. Like if you have a spot that you were going through and there's something around, you can put an arrow pointing to that area. Now, in a lot of spots, it's going to be a little boring because all you're doing is you're walking. You can call it a hiking simulator if you want to, because that's kind of what it is in a lot of spots. You're hiking and, treading through mountains and rivers and trying to get across, lakes, everything, under the sun. That's because that's what this character does. He's a transporter that tries to bring things through all this rough terrain. Now, because I call it a hiking simulator, doesn't make it a bad thing. It's actually quite difficult to try to manage your the load that you're bringing. You'll have to shift your weight and everything. If you start carrying too much, you won't be able to just run along. You'll have to actually go slower, or you can get your bike, which mine blew up. You'll have to get your bike, and then you can place things on the bike and then go through. I haven't figured out how to repair my bike yet, and hopefully we'll get to that soon. It gives you different challenges, like building a bridge and bringing supplies for different cities, and then you also have to bring one city and connecting them to the rest of the world, kind of like they're actually getting onto the internet for the first time after something terrible has happened. So should you buy this game? Well, if you're one that enjoys, just kind of sit back and, get through a story mode of your game, then you're definitely going to like this because it has plenty of content for the story mode. Um, if you're one that wants constant action in your game, it's definitely not going to be for you.
Isn't this what you've been waiting for this whole time? A game over.
There's a lot of weird things that happens in there, which I don't want to give any spoilers, like I said, but so you're in this world where you have these weird shadow people, and they're just kind of in the world, and they're just floating everywhere, and you're trying to avoid them while you have this creepy baby bubble that you keeps on your pouch or on your body the whole time, that helps you get through all of these things. It is actually an interesting concept that they put in there. It's not like any other game that you've played before or I've ever played before. There may be some underground games that's like it, but I highly doubt it. As far as the graphics go, freaking phenomenal. I mean, they are some of the best that we've seen in a long time. There's obviously a lot of games out there that have great graphics, and what they've done in this one kind of surpasses what my expectations are for the PlayStation 4 Pro. Even though it has 4K, if you know anything about what the PlayStation 4 Pro, in its 4K, it's not really a true 4K. But even with that, it's definitely nice high resolution. It definitely looks good, looks crisp. Everything looks little, realistic. Obviously, there is a few things that I noticed from other games, and here, like the skin tones and stuff like that, just seem a little off. But as far as the artwork and the attention to detail they did to make Norman Reedus look like Norman Reedus, it's kind of creepy in its own way. So like I said, there is a lot of hiking and stuff like that, but you do have to actually battle. There is fights and stuff like that in here with these shadowy, weird things, but they're not really that hard to defeat. Just doing this video is making me uncomfortable. So after 10 hours, like I said, I don't have that much information on the game. I don't want to give you spoilers, but I'm not even holding back that much. I just want to kind of go through like the gameplay and everything. And I have literally 10 hours of recording footage that I have here. That's just, I can't really do 10 hours of gameplay videos. I highly doubt a lot of my viewer base would like watching that. So we're just trying to do a small review, a quick look, first impression of what we actually seen in this game, and if you should buy it or not. I like the game. I really do. I feel like there's a few things missing from it. The online interactions are very minimal, which is good and bad. One, I really don't think I would enjoy playing this game in a multiplayer settings like an MMO. If you had multiple people just always getting together, maybe if you had it like a co-op type thing, it would be all right. Another person or another player that you're playing with, do it as a co-op, and you both are trying to carry stuff like that. It might make it a little bit less isolated, but it is called Death Stranding, so it's kind of going off of the essence of you being stranded constantly. So that, I guess, would make sense into not putting in a co-op. So it's really hard to say what exactly this game is about. Like, I don't know. Without giving you spoilers, of course. I mean, there are like a lot of things that you will enjoy with this game. As far as like the story, that's one thing I gotta say. The story is great. The managing your products, like, or your packages, trying to figure out, oh, should I get this one thing, or should I wait until later, and then do it in 2 trips. Do a trip, grab the stuff, and then go back for the same stuff and get it again. The game also allows you to put out post boxes, which is actually a spot where everybody can use it. So if you place one down, another player that's playing a different game can come by and actually use that same post box and store their stuff. They can share things that if they weren't able to move it and they don't think they'll ever come back for it, they'll actually go ahead and just leave it there, and you can pick it up and bring it back, and they will give you likes for you know, bringing in their stuff. So it has a lot of the multiplayer aspects in that way. They're just obviously considered just other porters, but obviously they're still the same character that Norman Reedus plays. So you don't get to customize your character, which brings me to another point. I do think that they should have let you change your character. Maybe like later on. Obviously, I haven't beat the game, so maybe there is something like that. But there's no type of character creation. A game like this would definitely benefit from having um, a character creation where you can create your own character, and you're going through kind of as your own fantasy person that you've created. But as far as this game goes, it's definitely worth trying it. $60, it's steep. I ended up getting the extra package, which you get a bunch of digital items, which I don't really use that much. A lot of it is just in your PlayStation, so I kind of feel like I shouldn't have gotten the the digital deluxe package. I wanted to get the disc, but I found out that they released it earlier on the PlayStation Store, and that's just really crappy for them to do. Um, because a lot of people want to buy the disc, and yeah, they look at it as they're saving money on the plastic in the disc itself, so maybe it's better for the environment. But I would like to, have my disc in hand, having something tangible for the money that I spent. So yeah, this game is definitely something else. I'd like to know what you all think of this game. If you've played it or if you've been watching other reviews. I tried to limit myself from watching other people's reviews, so I didn't, one, get spoilers, and two, I didn't want to have my review too influenced from others. Once the game's been out a little bit, I will do I'll do a review that has spoilers in it. I'll do some gameplay as well. Um, I just don't want to give out too much on the first weekend. The first weekend it's out. If you're deciding if you want to buy this game or not, I don't want to sit there and tell you parts of the story. It's like if a new Avengers or a DC movie, something like that comes out. I'm not going to go ahead and tell you everything that happened in it. So that's why I'm trying to avoid the spoilers. And I hope that's what you guys want. If you wanted the spoilers, sorry. I just wanted this to be a quick first impressions video, but there is a lot of stuff in this game, and there's a lot of things that I want to talk about that I can't. So that's about all I'm going to do at this time. I do apologize. I wanted to do an HDR 4K recording, my full 4K like I normally would. I had to bring down the bit rate to roughly 30 to 35 for the 4K video, which I should have it at least 40 to 45. So I had to bring it down a little bit, but most people that are watching, they're not watching it on a 4K screen anyway. I just wanted to have the HDR experience for people out there that wanted that. Maybe at a later date, I'll go ahead and do a full gameplay through of just, the full 4K HDR to see if y'all like that. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for watching this video. Make sure you hit that like button. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel. You all take care and happy gaming.